Hello, everybody. I think we figured this out finally at last. We had to get some different software going, and it's called StreamYard. And, I was working hard to figure it out, and we finally did, thanks to the efforts of my partners, Damian Dressick, who is waiting in the wings there, and I'll bring him on in 1 second, and Nicole is on. So we are the Writers Conference of Northern Appalachia, and we're working in conjunction with the Northern Appalachia Review, a new journal that's come out. It's been a result of the conference that I just mentioned. And I want to bring Damian Dressick in so that we can both talk to you about this new series. Hello, Damian.
Hi, Christina. How are you tonight?
Great. How are you?
I'm outstanding.
So here we are. We finally figured out what we were doing. At least I hope we did. If you're out there, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever, just to let us know that you're there. We're pretty excited to be doing this. And it is a series. You want to talk about the series just a little bit, since this was your idea?
Absolutely. Well, dealing with all the things we're dealing with collectively right now, the opportunity to see people read from their work, the opportunity to find community in terms of creative folks is pretty limited. So I was thinking with our journal and conference folks, we had a group of people that I suspect might be interested in the same kind of literature. So I thought if we could maybe get something together that enabled us to bring literature to people and allow writers to connect with folks who might want to hear them read a couple times a week. That would be something we could do to perhaps brighten up this complex and situation. Yeah.
Oh, we like to hear ourselves talk too. Or at least some of us do. I'm talking about myself now. So we will have writers reading every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m., maybe more if people want more. We certainly have enough people who have some great material out there that we would love to share with everyone. And I guess we should say, for those of you who don't know where Northern Appalachia is, we can fill you in on that. So Northern Appalachia, and I should have had a map ready, but I don't, covers an area that is mostly the northern part of West Virginia. A little bit dips down below the northern panhandle. Parts of Ohio, eastern Ohio, parts of New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Am I missing anybody, Damian?
Let's see. We got the eastern part of Ohio.
Yeah.
And West Virginia, Pennsylvania, a bit of New York.
Oh, I forgot. Did I say New York?
I'm not sure.
Well, New York is part of it. So, my son said that I said New York. That must be true. All right. So I have volunteered to be our first reader. We are keeping these readings very short because we know that people don't want to spend forever attach their computer, because I know that now that I'm teaching online and a lot of my friends and colleagues are teaching online, we spend our life within the confines of these laptops. And so we don't want to keep you any longer than that. We plan for our readings to be roughly 4 minutes in length for every writer. And I am going to kick it off tonight. Damian is going to introduce me for a second, and then I will be back to read to you what I have tonight.
All right. Well, I've heard that James Brown was often referred to as the hardest working man in showbiz. But if there's anyone out there who's able to give Mr. Brown more than a run for his money, I put my money on Dr. Christina Fisanick, who is an associate professor of English at Cal U in Pennsylvania, where she teaches expository writing, creative nonfiction, and digital storytelling. Here's the part. Christina is the author of dozens of articles and essays, in addition to over 30 books. I have people I know who haven't read 30 books, let alone written 30 books. She's like the George Carol Oates of Northern Appalachia. And her most recent memoir is The Optimistic Food Addict. She lives in Wheeling, West Virginia with her cat and her kid. Please give a warm welcome. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, to Christina Fisanick.
Thank you so much, Damian. Tonight I'm going to read something short. I timed it earlier, and it's about 4 minutes and a few seconds, but this is an essay that I wrote while on a camping trip. And it really reflects sort of this fusion of the work that I do with personal essay, family memories, and just trying to get at the heart of how we become who we become in life. And so this essay is called Of Outhouses and Humiliation. I take a deep breath and squat, my skin barely touching the seat of the outhouse toilet. I pee as fast as possible, wipe and toss. I nearly break into a run, fleeing the small, reeking confines of the camp latrine. You see, I have been in mortal fear of using outhouses since childhood. It took me decades to figure out why I feared sitting my bare bum over a gaping hole in the earth. The stench itself should be enough, but it wasn't just that. And it wasn't my horror movie fear of a giant anaconda slurping out of the muck and carrying me off to his fetid lair. As it turns out, my fear of outhouses is baked in, genetically woven into my corporeal code. The story goes like this. My great Aunt Creasy went to the family outhouse one summer day, broke the toilet seat and pedestal platform, and then crashed through the floor. She landed several feet below, up to her neck in raw shit. The storyteller's tone was always 90% serious and 10% humorous, whether it was my grandfather, my mother, my uncle, or one of Creasy's siblings. Although the teller sometimes changed how many hours it took to fish Great Aunt Creasy out, she dog paddled in that shit until the next morning. Brownie's wrecker got there right after supper. Or what she said as she screamed and cried for help. Lord, get me out. Davy Earl, get the block and tackle. Get me out. Two details remain the same throughout the tellings. Great Aunt Creasy wore fire engine red lipstick way beyond the boundaries of her lip lines, and she was a big, big woman. Now, clearly, a story like this would frighten most children who might have the need to visit an outside toilet. But for me, it became a defining narrative about the bodies of women, my body, and fat. As my battle with binge eating disorder worsened, my weight increased, and I internalized messages about body hate and fat. Great Aunt Creasy's plight exemplified for me the reality of being a fat woman, and only years later did I realize that my fear of outhouses wasn't about pissing in a dark hole in the ground, but about the shame I would face if I broke the toilet seat and fell into the filth below. Subconsciously for years, and then consciously for many more, I wondered on the increasingly fewer cases I needed to use an outhouse if my weight now was enough to break the seat. Had I become a big, big woman? Would this be the time my too heavy body finally pulled the trigger and made me the subject of generations of family lore? On the surface, it's a good story, right? It's not every day that someone has to be hauled out of a latrine by a tow truck. But I wonder now, as I wondered then, if my family was trying to entertain me and my cousins or warn us all by repeating Great Aunt Creasy's potentially fatal accident. After all, this is the only story I've ever heard about her. It's all I know of a woman, my own flesh and blood, and her time on this earth. In my marrow, I feared such a legacy while still deep in the throes of binge eating disorder. I had internalized Great Aunt Creasy's humiliation. Her shame became her, a woman kicking and thrashing to stay afloat in a pond of shit her family had created. This fear and shame eventually extended to the other areas of my life, as I found myself carefully testing porch swings to see if they could hold my weight, easing gently into my own bathtub, pausing with a racing heart at the slightest creak, and generally holding my breath in life, not just because I didn't want my bathtub to come crashing through the ceiling, but because of a generation's deep fear of the shame I'd feel because everyone would know that it wasn't a rotted floorboard that caused the crash, but the weight of a big, big woman. Thank you very much for listening. And I know that, Damien, you might want to come back on with me and conclude today's presentation.
Absolutely.
Did you hear it?
I did. It was outstanding. Thank you so much for reading that, sharing that with us.
Thank you for introducing me. So we hope everybody out there, if you like what we're presenting tonight, Damien will be our second guinea pig. And we're hoping that by next week, we will need guinea pigs no more and everyone will be fine. So Damien will be presenting. What are you going to read on Thursday?
I'm going to be reading a couple of very short pieces from my collection that's coming out this year from Clash Books called Fables of the Deconstruction.
Awesome. I can't wait. So please, everybody, tune in, share what we're doing. If you think you know people who might enjoy what we've been doing tonight. And definitely, if you're interested in reading, contact either me or Damien, and we would certainly like to talk to you about your work. We're really committed to offering committing. Well, in this time, we all feel like we're kind of committed in one way or another, but we really want to promote the writing of the region. That's why we exist as an organization, as the Writers Conference of Northern Appalachia and the Northern Appalachia Review. I think you all are still accepting submissions, right, for the Northern Appalachia Review?
We absolutely are. Fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, as well as book reviews and possibly interviews if you've done an interview with a local author or a regional author, I should say.
Yeah, and you can find out more information by going to either one of our websites, the Writers Conference of Northern Appalachia, and I think you all were smart enough to just do nar.com or something.
No, we would have, except the North American Review stole that one in 1926. So we are northernappalachiareview.com.
All right.
You can find out all the guideline stuff there.
Yes, and thank you, everyone. If you're interested in what we're doing, if you want to hear more from any of our authors at any point, just reach out to us. We'll be glad to talk to you. So we'll see you on Thursday night. Thank you.
Until next time, everybody.
Thanks.